In my past life, I trailed after the campus belle like a lap dog, but she loved the cold, poor guy, and he even had me take the fall for him. Not only was I star-crossed in love, but billions in family assets were destroyed by those two. Reborn. I'll be damned if I don't watch how this mismatched pair play their parts. Ethan, come over and help us. Ethan, if you don't save Dylan today, I'll never speak to you again. My head was splitting. I opened my eyes to find myself crouched in a pitch black alley. Not far away were schoolgirls in uniforms and a thin boy. I myself look like a student right now. The scene before me is incredibly familiar. Could I have really been reborn at 18? Weren't I horribly beaten with fists and kicks in prison? Just then, a bunch of thugs suddenly came out from across the way. They held knives, lighters, long wooden sticks, had cigarettes dangling from their mouths, and looked murderous. The girl who just loudly shouted my name was standing protectively in front of that boy, Chloe and Dylan. In their previous lives, they were surrounded by that group of thugs. I rushed up to save the two of them. At that time, I was fighting 20-1. Those reckless gang members cracked my skull open, and I was bleeding nearly to death. I lay on the floor powerless, begging for help while my beloved Chloe ran off with her sweetheart without a trace, not caring about my life or death. Later, even though I lay in the hospital for a month, she never came to see me even once, and I foolishly believed she was too scared and resting at home. When I asked about it back at school, she merely said I was lucky and nothing would happen to me. But in reality, while I was getting dressing changes and IVs in the hospital, writhing in pain, her relationship with Dylan advanced by leaps and bounds. Thinking about how stupid my past self was makes me want to run over and slap myself 100 times. So this time, I not only didn't go help those two scumbags, and that I even stepped back a few paces. I pulled a crumpled recitation note out of my pocket and began memorizing words, watching Chloe and Dylan being surrounded and bullied by that group. Not a ripple stirred in me. I even felt a little thrilled. They deserved it. Chloe looked at me as if she hated me to the core, but I didn't care. And I wasn't foolish enough to run over and save her. Why didn't you go save the campus belle? Should we call the police? The thin figure in the corner slowly approached, and I remembered who she was. She was Sophia, in my previous life. When I was beaten to a pulp, she called an ambulance for me. As I recall, she did very well in class, but back then, I had my mind completely on Chloe and never paid any attention to her. Who would have thought she'd reach out to help me at a critical moment? I shrugged and said, a hero doesn't necessarily have to save a beauty. That's a lesson learned in blood and tears. So I decisively stopped her from calling the police, and while I was at it, asked her a very difficult grammar question. They were barely alive on the other side. While on our side, time flowed peacefully as we basked in the cultivation of knowledge. Sure enough, 10 minutes later, the police arrived and those people took off running. Khlo was still clinging to Dylan, crouched against the wall. Their clothes were disheveled and they looked pitiful. She really loved him. When something happened, she would truly step up. Because we were wearing the same school uniform, Sophia and I were also taken to the police station to give statements. Chloe and the others were in tatters. By contrast, our clothes were intact, and from time to time we even asked about the meanings of words. Chloe gave me a look full of fury, and the next second she rushed over and slapped me so hard to turn my head to the side. The crisp sound shocked everyone present. Ethan, why did you stand by and let them die just now? Officer, bystanders who stand by and do nothing while someone dies are committing a crime. I touched my burning cheek, licked the blood at the corner of mouth, my eyes grown cold, and shoved this crazed woman away. She fell to the ground unprepared. We're focused on discussing studies. Where did this business of watching someone die without helping come from? Who are you to me? I don't have the leisure to deal with this crap. Chloe, your parents are powerful and influential. Ask them to do something. Who would dare block your sweetheart after school? Then after she said that, her expression changed immediately. Of course, I knew she couldn't possibly tell her family. If Mr. Bennett and the others found out she was mixed up with a poor student, Khlo would immediately be shipped out of the country by them. How could she bear to leave Dylan and go off alone? Dylan was her life. She stood up furious about to slap me again, but this time I didn't let her succeed. I grabbed her hand, twisted it behind her, and the slap landed naturally on her face. The gust from the palm was tremendous. The sound crisp, leaving her so shocked she couldn't close her mouth. "You actually dare to hit me? Ethan, do you know what you're doing?" Perhaps in my past life I was too much of a S, which caused her to have this misunderstanding about me. "I didn't notice just now when you hit me. Do you think I make the same stupid mistake twice? Besides, do you need to pick an auspicious day to hit you? It was just something that happened naturally." Chloe was still hysterically cursing me like a shrew, redefining my impression of her. After leaving the police station, I planned to escort Sophia home. After all, it was late and unsafe for her to be alone, and she was in a way my lifesaver. Chloe clung to me like stubborn glue again, refusing to let go and gripping my hand. "Ethan, you apologize to me right now, and I'll reluctantly forgive you. Don't say I didn't give you a chance." There she goes again, always looking down from on high, arrogant and proud, treating me like a dog. Summon me and I come, wave me away and I'm gone. In the past, if I heard her say she forgave me, I would have been so happy. I'd have bowed and scraped. Too bad this time her clever scheme backfired. "Chloe, if you're willing to be that man's lap dog, then don't look at the pot while eating from the bowl. Don't come to provoke me anymore. I'm already sick of you. Go far away." Hearing my words, she turned away angrily and hugged Dylan at the door, staring at me as if out of spite. I rolled my eyes and pulled Sophia toward her house. The Johnsons and the Bennett have been close for generations and have always had business dealings. Chloe and I could be considered childhood sweethearts. From kindergarten through elementary, middle, and high school, we always showed up together as a pair. From the beginning, I followed behind her, treating her as the white moonlight in my heart that I pursued. She also liked to tease me for fun. Whenever she was unhappy, she'd vent to me, and I felt as if I'd been given some great reward, unbearably happy. The whole school knew I was hopelessly in love with the campus beauty, Chloe, putting her before everything. I also knew that behind my back everyone called me a S, offering a warm face to a cold behind. Then in the second year of high school, Dylan transferred into our class. Dylan came from a poor background, but his grades were excellent across the board, often ranking first in a year. He was deservedly the teacher's model student and a future pillar of the nation. He was always aloof and kept people at a distance. The more I looked at him, the more I felt he was putting on an act, which annoyed me greatly. But Chloe just happened to love that icy face, following him around every day. Back then, I really suffered a lot being the backup and yet feeling superior because of it. If my roommates hadn't taken into account that my family had money, they would have long stopped paying any attention to me. Now that I've been given life again, I can't make the same mistakes. I won't be anyone's tool, sold out, and then foolishly helping others count their money. In my last life, I never thanked Sophia for saving me. I even mocked her, saying she called the ambulance just to ingratiate herself with me. And because of that, she seemed to become the subject of gossip later on. Thinking back now, I really deserved to die. The next day for 8th period, I not only wasn't late, I arrived half an hour earlier than usual. Chloe, in order to spend more time with Dylan, gets up at 6 every day to squeeze onto the bus with him. Even though their families live in different directions, she says. They happen to be on the same route. I have to admit, for a pampered young miss to go this far for Dylan is really something. As soon as I walked into the classroom, I saw the group gathered around Chloe like planets around a sun, laughing and chatting, and I myself was the center of attention. "Chloe, where's your little follower, Ethan? Why didn't he bring you breakfast today? Speak of the devil. Here comes Ethan. The thoughtful, nice guy, isn't he? They say if you want to win someone over first, learn to keep her stomach full. Chloe, you're so lucky. Ethan has been bringing you breakfast for 3 years. I'm so jealous, but what's the use? Our Chloe is sentimental. She only has eyes for the university. Ace Dylan, really. Faced with the slacker second-generation Ethan and the exemplary Dylan, anyone would choose Dylan. Everyone shot me. Contemptuous glances, their laughter rising and falling. K.H. Lowe's smile blossomed across her face as she put her hands on her hips and looked in my direction. She was like a haughty peacock, always waiting for me to flatter her. Before, I brought her all kinds of breakfast every day. She said she liked the sandwiches my family chef made, so I would get up early each day to get the warmest ones for her. Later, she took all those things to win Dylan over, and I silently endured it, making a wedding dress for someone else. This time, things wouldn't be so cheap. So I sneered, stepped past Chloe, and to everyone's shock, I not only didn't bring Low breakfast, I walked to the corner and looked at Sophia, who was still banned over her homework. Sophia was a slight stutterer, not very noticeable in class without a deskmate, quietly sitting alone in the last row, ears deaf to the world outside, wholly devoted to her books. Even so, she was still an honor student, her grades on par with Dylan's. I spread the oatmeal, coffee bread, and beef sandwich I had in my hands out across her desk. Sophia looked up from her book in disbelief and stared at me. "This is the breakfast I brought for you. Eat it while it's still warm." The classroom fell silent instantly, everyone turning to look at Chloe standing awkwardly in the air. After all, none of them expected that one day I would actually give Chloe the cold shoulder. Chloe lost face and rushed over to confront me. "Ethan, what do you mean? Wasn't this breakfast brought to me?" I impatiently let go of her hand and backed away from her as if avoiding a vicious dog. "Chloe, do you have a bad memory? I told you last night. Stay away from me from now on. Looking at you puts me in a bad mood. Are you deaf?" As soon as he said that, the scene exploded. Chloe was so angry her face flushed and her neck bulged. "Ethan, where did you learn this new method of getting my attention? This tactic is really low class. This is my family's breakfast. I'll bring it to whoever I want to bring it to. Miss Low has no right to boss me around. Get lost. Don't ruin my appetite." Low stormed back to her seat. When Dylan turned his head, she eagerly scooted closer again. Sophia looked up uncertainly and asked me, "Is this really for me? This isn't some prank, is it? Or did you put something into breakfast to make me look ridiculous?" I slapped my forehead. Apparently, I did so many bad things in my past life that I left her with such a poor impression. I have to work hard to change the stereotype she has of me. I stuck a straw into the warm oatmeal and handed it to her. "Eat up. You need to be full to study properly. Look at you. You've got nothing left but skin and bones. I'm not kidding. If I'm lying, struck by lightning 5 times. She didn't doubt me and began eating slowly. I ate too and suddenly felt that today's breakfast was unusually satisfying. The one I should protect is the sincere, kind girl, not that arrogant, overbearing young miss. After class, Chloe came to my desk again. I was so annoyed I covered my face with a book to ignore her, but she insisted on pulling. "Ethan, I know you just want a bit of novelty. You want to use Sophia to provoke me, to make me jealous. Anyway, this isn't the first time you've done something like this over the years. Even though I like Dylan, you're still my good friend. How can a good friend betray me?" I flung the book down and cut her off. "Chloe, who you like is none of my business. Stop showing off in front of me every day. I must have been out of my mind before to keep bothering you. I'm begging you to spare me now. I want to study normally, live normally, and I don't have time to play the role of S or backup." Hearing the word study, Chloe laughed and the others in the classroom laughed until they were bent over. Their expressions seemed to say, "Someone like me, a hellraiser, wants to study. What a joke, pigs will fly." Technically speaking, I count as a rich 3rd generation. So during school, I was lazy and indulgent, working sporadically at best. In my previous life, I didn't get into a good university and drifted through life relying on the family's money. Now I've woken up to reality. Studying is obviously much more appealing than chasing after the campus beauty. On the other hand, Chloe, following Dylan, had her head full of romance. Her grades, which had been pretty good, plummeted in the end, and she angered Mr. Bennett and the others so much they ended up in the hospital. I slammed my palm on the table and declared, "It's just studying and doing problems. At the mock exam in a month, I'll definitely make the top 20. If I remember correctly, I'm currently ranked 150th, 3rd from the bottom, but I'm very confident." Chloe and her group are laughing so hard they could barely stand, and I didn't expect this bunch to believe me. Only Sophia beside me quietly slid her densely packed notes over and placed them on my desk. If you don't understand, you can ask me. It's enough that she's the only one who believes in me." Chloe smiled and asked, "The ice cube, Dylan, Dylan, Ethan actually boasted he'd get into the top 20. Isn't that funny? But I know no one in the whole school can surpass you. You'll always be the outstanding one. Dylan glanced at me without expression. I could see contempt between men. A glance. Set goals according to your abilities. You can't become fat with one bite. He was trying every trick to say I was overestimating myself. I snorted coldly and met his eyes directly. A few books, a few problems. What's so hard? Sooner or later, I'll surpass you too, Dylan. I'll collect every debt from my past life in every possible way. For the next week, apart from listening to classes seriously, I had my deskmate Sophia explain problems to me every day. The homeroom teacher came to the office to talk to me as if she'd seen a ghost, afraid I'd corrupt Sophia, that model student. But when I showed her the densely written notes and all my organization, she had nothing to say. The accident happened during the long break that day. The school has a photo wall where amusing school stories and gossip are often posted. This time what stirred up trouble were several screenshots of chat logs, Chloe and her roommate's sister's group. Several people were betting on how long it would take me to go back and apologize to Chloe. Luna Harris. I guess this time Ethan can hold out for 2 weeks. Maybe he actually likes that little stutterer. Mia Carter. I think he won't last 5 days before coming to Chloe to apologize. When has he ever gone more than 2 days without buying gift to make up Zoe Foster? I'll bet my allowance in dollars this month that Ethan will come under the dorm tonight to apologize to Chloe. Remember that time Chloe made him wait 2 hours in the pouring rain and he still didn't leave? Ella redded, "At least Ethan isn't stupid. How could some little stutterer compare to our Chloe?" They're worlds apart. These people were chattering away and in the process helped me recall quite a lot. 1. Weekend in my previous life, Chloe invited Dylan to go study at the library. At that time, I did everything I could to stop her from going, even telling her parents about it. So, she was kept at home. She even went on a hunger strike but still couldn't convince her parents to let her go out. That day, Dylan had been waiting for her in the library all along, and when she never showed up, he grew distant from Chloe. Chloe threw a tantrum and rolled on the floor until Dylan finally forgave her. After that, she started taking it out on me, dumping all the grievances Dylan had caused her onto me. "It's all your fault." It was so hard to get Dylan to agree to go on a date with me alone. "I hate you, Ethan. You people are not even worth one hair on Dylan's head. You make me sick, childish." That time she slapped me twice and I willingly took it. Later, she told me to stand downstairs from the dormitory and wait until she cooled off before I could leave. More balloons, more fireworks. I racked my brain for ways to win her. Forgiveness. She said she wanted the Mexican burritos from Wilton Snack Street. I ran to buy them and she tossed them into the trash without even looking. Then there were grilled shrimp and smoothies. I went to great lengths to buy them and she threw them away too. Then it started pouring rain. I stood motionless under the dormitory building while she chatted and laughed with her roommates on the balcony, having a great time. All the girls in the building were watching me like I was a joke. Later, she was satisfied. Looking down on me, she said, "Ethan, if you make me angry again next time, I won't forgive you so easily." She told me as if bestowing a favor that I must be grateful to her. I thought carefully. It was only later when someone shouted that the head of discipline was coming to inspect the dorms that Chloe waved me off and told me to disappear quickly so I wouldn't get her into trouble. And the person who indirectly saved me was Sophia. Now that you mention it, Sophia has baited me out twice already. And a rush of mixed emotions suddenly hit me. Chloe. Oh, don't people just crave a little novelty? I know Ethan better than anyone. He'll be back groveling to me in a few days. Now how should I punish him this time? I'm so mad I can't let him off easily, otherwise he'll really never learn. Everyone in the group was chiming in, plotting how to make me apologize to her. It looked very discordant. Soon those chat logs spread like wildfire, and my reputation as the male version of Wang Ban went everywhere. Sophia looked up at me, hesitated, then spoke cautiously. "Ethan, I think that when you like someone, the first thing is to maintain your own dignity." What she implied was that I shouldn't go groveling to Chloe to apologize. I'd already lost my dignity. Putting aside what others might say, my spine was destined to be bent for the rest of my life. Before it was because I mistakenly thought I loved her. Now I won't be that stupid anymore. Only let this incident ferment for a while. After all, only by elevating someone to a high position and then letting her fall hard can one feel the greatest satisfaction. Chloe, your confidence, I really don't know where it comes from. It makes me feel inferior. From now on, we'll just wait and see. A week passed. Aside from studying one-on-one with Sophia, I didn't want to spare an ounce of attention for anyone else. The more time I spent with Sophia, the more I found that there was nothing about her that wasn't wonderful. Kind, principled, persistent in her dreams. Tolerant of others. She was practically angelic, and K.H. Lowe visibly panicked. The bow she had made in front of others now came back like a boomerang, striking her and embarrassing her. The New Year's Eve celebration came soon. Every year, the senior students had to prepare performances for it, and the atmosphere was very lively. K.H. Lowe had always been the most enthusiastic because she was always the center of attention and was used to showing herself off in events like the party performances. That day, she and a group of girlfriends cornered Sophia in the classroom. They wanted Sophia to join the dance troupe and perform at the New Year's Eve celebration after rehearsals. It was called an invitation, but it felt more like aggressive coercion. Sophia always prioritized her studies. She definitely couldn't take part in that SOAR program. Chloe snorted. Some people probably can't even speak properly and their limbs are stiff, right? Let me guess. Do they dance like a frog flailing around? The people around also laughed. Let's see what methods have Ethan following her around studying all day. Look at her quail-like appearance. She probably has never even been on stage. An ugly duckling is an ugly duckling still pretending to be a pure girl. If you got the guts, come join us. I walked over and kicked the stool in front of her away with my foot. The huge clatter quieted everyone. I was wondering why someone was so unlucky this morning. Turns out it was you lot. The troublemakers disturbing everyone. Studying, chirping non-stop. Even the pigs in a farm are better behaved than you. A pack of foul-mouthed gossips. Chloe, seeing I was resolutely defending Sophia and standing up for her, immediately flew into a rage. Ethan, if you've got the guts, let her take part. I sure as hell don't have the guts to make things hard for a girl. You all should get lost as far away as you can. I don't mind striking a girl, don't push me. At that moment, Sophia actually spoke. I can rehearse. It's just dancing. How hard can it be? Her fawn-like eyes blinked repeatedly, her gaze showing a streak of determination. At that moment, I believe she could do it because she never fought an unprepared battle. Because every class was busy preparing performances for the evening gala and the school's dance studio was in high demand. Sophia and the others rehearsed on the basketball court. Every day I would bring her water and food, then sit nearby to read by myself, occasionally sneaking a glance at Sophia as she practiced her movements. I thought Sophia would only be good at road studying, but I didn't expect her to look so poised when she danced, her expression confident and natural. At first, Chloe tried to find opportunities to make things difficult for her, but seeing how impressive Sophia was, she had no way to trip her up and could only rage impotently. During the breaks, Dylan would occasionally come to bring K.H. Lowe water, and that alone made K.H. Lowe deliriously happy. She wished the whole school would know how good Dylan was to her, they say. This was a favor Chloe had begged him for at his ear for many days before she got it. Whenever Dylan showed up, she would grab him and proclaim it loudly, as if she wanted everyone to know the top of the grade now belonged to her. Then she would look at me as if to say, "See, Ethan, without me, you'll only regret it to your core." But I didn't care at all. I even wanted to slap the two of them away so they'd stop spoiling my view. Chloe, when the curtain falls this year, Ethan will definitely give you flowers again, right? Of course. Every year when K.H. Lowe performed, Ethan would give flowers, 99 of them. I couldn't even hold them all by myself. Besides, I guess he wants to use this chance to apologize to Chloe. Maybe there will be an even bigger surprise this time. You got me excited. Ethan really is rich. The point is, he's willing to spend money on our Chloe. That stutterer only deserves a few sandwiches. Such a poor look. It's hilarious. Khlo stood in the crowd enjoying herself. After hearing that, Sophia's face went unnaturally pale no matter how strong she was inside. She couldn't help but overthink when she heard gossip. "Sophia, what kind of flower do you like?" She looked at me baffled, then slowly said, "Baby's breath. However, Chloe, she might prefer roses. If you're giving them to her, go with pink roses." After saying that, she turned her head and stopped looking at me. She thought I was asking for advice and would go flatter Chloe. I grinned, feeling in a great mood. Sophia seemed a little jealous. Indeed, I had prepared a big gift for Chloe. Let's see whether she can handle it. I'm certain that when the time comes, this grand spectacle will be absolutely spectacular. In the blink of an eye, New Year's Eve celebration arrived. I made a special trip to the florist and personally picked the most suitable flowers before heading to the school. The bouquet was large. Worried it might block my view, I set the flowers down in the aisle by my side. The lecture hall was packed and everyone's attention was drawn to that bouquet. Ethan is probably apologizing to Chloe by offering someone else's flowers. Definitely. Besides, every time Khlo finishes a dance, Ethan always gives her a gift. I'm so jealous. Chloe is so lucky to have such a top-tier backup. And she even managed to get the nation's male idol, Dylan. Can she teach a class? I learn on my knees. I said nothing either way and focused intently on what was ahead, which made them even more convinced I was there for Chloe. Chloe, about to go on stage, saw me and grinned confidently, taking the stage. My gaze flicked to the back row at Sophia. She was wearing a dress today with exquisitely applied makeup, unbearably beautiful. Just standing there, she had a different aura from everyone else. Our eyes met unexpectedly. I silently mouthed good luck to her, and she returned a faint smile. The music began and everyone lost themselves in the song and the dance. Sophia was placed at the very back by them, because she wasn't very tall and was slender. She couldn't be seen when the formation changed. But even if she only appeared for a few brief seconds, that silhouette was enough to make people's hearts go wild. When the song ended, it was time for the curtain call. I straightened my clothes, held the flowers, and slowly walked up onto the stage. Chloe, standing in the center, turned to face me, reached out her hands, ready to catch my flowers. I barely smiled, swaggered past her without pausing in the least. I only stopped once I placed the flowers into Sophia's arms, and Sophia still hadn't reacted. Everyone present was stunned, including Sophia. "You look beautiful today, and your dancing was lovely." Looking at Sophia's bewildered expression, I found it very cute and wanted to reach out and give her a little squeeze, but I restrained myself. I could feel how venomous Khlo's gaze was from behind. And the next person coming on stage to present flowers was Dylan. He was holding a bouquet of flowers folded from scrap paper and then solemnly handed it to Chloe. These kinds of flowers have been very popular in class lately. You can make one with just an A4 sheet. Yes, you could say it's a very thoughtful gift. Isn't Khlo's favorite thing all about that sense of ceremony? On the other hand, anything his second-generation rich kid, give or she treats like dirt. Anything Dylan gives is perfect in her eyes, while what I give is worthless. I really like this gift. To me, it's more appealing than flowers or fine wine. The voice carried through the microphone, laced with gritted teeth. Meaning the audience, however, erupted. My goodness, holy moly, is Ethan really done being a S? Did anyone notice? The flowers he gave this time are way bigger than the ones he gave Chloe before. Baby's breath, too. The paper-folded flower was upstaged in seconds. I can only say this is hard to judge. Wish him luck. Putting other things aside, giving a paper flower an occasion like this is just too shabby, no matter how you look. Added Sophia's huge bouquet of baby's breath looks better. Tusk, tusk, tusk. What a show. I feel like Khlo's murs are about to grind to pieces. On stage, Khlo's face went through a kaleidoscope of colors. Truly a spectacular sight. She wants Dylan's cheap affection for her. And she also wants me to give her extravagant dignity to uphold her wealthy girl posture and back her up at important events. Isn't that daydreaming? Although I used to foolishly run around for her, spending people and money. Now no way, I won't do that kind of brainless, stupid thing. After the performance, the teachers at the venue basically dispersed. Chloe came to find me with a sullen face to demand an explanation. "Ethan, wasn't that bouquet supposed to be what you used to beg my forgiveness? You actually gave it to that little stammerer. You should know I've put up with you for so many days. Don't force me to turn against you to cut you off forever. I was completely baffled and shot her a look as if she were an idiot. Dylan unusually came over and pulled her away, afraid she'd do something rash. This scene really was a rare sight, but now, of course, he had to think of ways to keep Chloe. Otherwise, it would provide him with financial support in the future. Since he came, I'll give him a gift, too. After all, in the last life, my family was ruined, and he did quite a bit to help. Chloe, I prepare another gift for you. At the words, K.H. Lowe immediately jumped for joy and opened her hands to receive the gift. The next second, a recording played from the speakers in the banquet hall. The person in the recording was her beloved Dylan. Chloe, huh? A big-breasted, brainless, degenerate Aries. How could I possibly like her? She buzzes in my ear all day like a fly, but I put up with it to keep her happy. A princess with an inflated ego just because her family has money. To outsiders, Dylan might appear to be a model student. Excellent in both conduct and studies, respectful to teachers, if somewhat hard for others to get close to. And as a man, I naturally know what he truly has on his mind. Pride. That's what he values most. But deep down, he still longs to be part of high society. He could put up with K.H. Lowe's clinging behavior simply because he saw she was easy to deceive, and K.H. Lowe was indeed willing to be deceived. He was actually even more masterful at the give and take routine than Chloe. No wonder people said the two of them were a perfect match. They should be locked together forever. Let them torment each other. When the recording finished, the air stayed quiet for a long time. Veins bulged on Dylan's neck. Beads of sweat the size of soybeans rolled down his cheeks, and he stared anxiously at the stunned K.H. Lowe. K.H. Lowe cried and demanded, "Dylan, is this all true? Is this how you really see me? Don't tell me that voice isn't yours." Dylan said nothing, only looking coldly at the woman before him. Then turning his gaze to me, the whistleblower, I clapped my hands in satisfaction. "Continue fighting like dogs, you two. We're going to celebrate New Year's Eve." I was in an excellent mood. This big gift was worth all the trouble I'd gone through, unmasking Dylan's hypocritical, self-righteous facade and provoking Chloe like a thunderclap made the scene truly lively. The large bouquet was so heavy that Sophia could barely move. I couldn't bear to watch, so I took it from her and carried it. A bunch of flowers is just a bunch of flowers. One is enough to show your feelings, or are you just trying to get back at someone? I tilted my head and looked at her. You don't like it? Her cheeks flushed. Then she gently nodded. Sophia looked absolutely adorable like this. The bouquet of baby's breath was totally worth it. Since that's the case, how are we going to spend New Year's Eve? Sophia gave an enlightened "oh," and then pulled something out of her backpack. I eagerly looked up, wondering whether she had prepared a New Year's Eve gift for me. Embarrassingly, after following Chloe around all these years, it has always been me giving her gifts. And I've never once received a present myself. How pathetic. I've never been treated like a human being. How could I, a proud, wealthy young master, end up in such a miserable state? The key to overtaking on the curve is to make full use of every single minute and second to study. So for the time being, we'll do practice exams and get way ahead of everyone else. When I saw the stack of test papers she took out, my vision went black and I almost fell into the nearby grass. I really shouldn't have expected her to give me any surprises beyond studying. The New Year's holiday gave me a day and a half off, and for the first time in ages, I actually went back to see my parents. Last New Year's Eve in my past life. After accepting my flowers, Chloe turned around and went on a date with Dylan. I, wounded by love, went out drinking and ended up in the hospital. Stupid to the core, since I learned my parents died because of me, I've been much nicer to them. It's made them a bit unaccustomed. Ethan, you wouldn't still be in love with that girl Chloe, would you? We've seen it all these years. Actually, we shouldn't have meddled in pairing you two. Chloe isn't your match. Watching you run around for her really makes me feel awful. I nearly spat a mouthful of old blood and only calmed down when I saw my mom's concerned expression. Mom, I'd have to be out of my mind to like that drama queen, right? That was when I was blind. Now my sight's back and I have someone I like. After hearing that, Mom smiled with relief. You don't know, Mr. Bennett told me that K.H. Lowe and Dylan had a fight. But last night Dylan went to find Chloe, drew a heart with chalk on the floor, and Khlo was so moved she cried buckets and they made up sigh. I really don't understand why she'd want to like a poor boy, so that's what it was. I laughed till I rolled. Indeed. Chloe is exactly the type to react that way. As long as they don't bother me, they can do whatever flirting and love-advice stuff they want. Back at school, I noticed the girls who used to talk with Sophia no longer come to borrow her notes after class. I suppose it was because of Khlo's influence. The commotion I caused when I sent flowers to Sophia became the talk of the town, leaving Khlo humiliated, and she pinned all the blame on the innocent Sophia. Fortunately, Sophia herself didn't mind. She was happy to have the free time, and I was even happier without anyone else taking up her break. I could freely discuss problems with her. The last class today was outdoor PE, and after class I waited at the door for Sophia for half an hour, but she still didn't come out. PE classes at school are separated by gender, so I had no idea where she might be. I asked a few girls and they said they hadn't seen her either. A strong bad premonition welled up in me, and I immediately took off running toward the gym. Khlo and Dylan walked over chatting and laughing. I grabbed Chloe by the collar. "Tell me where Sophia is." She shrugged to indicate she didn't know, but I still caught that flash of guilt in her eyes. Dylan forcibly took my hand away, let go of Chloe. I sneered, forcefully shook off his hand, and moved away from that hypocritical man. I'm not her stuttering personal maid. How would I know where she is? Can't you go look for her yourself? If anything happens to Sophia, I'll make both of you pay back. Hunful, just wait and see. I screamed Sophia's name like a mad woman and suddenly saw a thick smoke billowing out of the storage room. After activating the fire alarm, I immediately rushed over and banged on the door. Sophia was indeed inside. Her voice grew weaker and weaker, the smoke thicker and thicker, and the fire intensified. Seeing the flames getting out of control and the rescue team not yet arrived, I started kicking the door in agitation. In my previous life, I failed to protect the family and friends I cared about. This time, I won't make the same mistake. When I finally kicked the big iron gate open, I saw Sophia collapse in the middle, struggling to breathe. I carried her and ran desperately, finally putting her on a stretcher and following the medical staff to the hospital. When Chloe and Dylan arrived at the hospital, the panic on their faces was plainly visible. I knocked Dylan down with one punch, wishing I could execute that hypocrite on the spot. We were just looking out for a classmate. She was slow-moving and got locked inside when the fire started. Who could have known? Khlo's ugly face once again made me feel the distortion of her humanity. I can't believe I was blind enough to like her for so many years. After getting rid of the two thorns in our sides, I stayed by Sophia's side. Fortunately, she wasn't seriously hurt and only needed a day of rest. The next day, we attended class as usual, but then Chloe actually took out her limited edition bag to give to Sophia. And Sophia returned it without a word. "Don't get greedy, Sophia. Do you know how much this bag costs? Someone tacky like you couldn't afford it even if your whole family went without food for a year. Just take it. It's not shameful. Don't pretend to be lofty. I admit you do have some means. Otherwise, you wouldn't have latched on to Ethan, that money tree." Chloe looked at Sophia with disdain, and Sophia met her gaze calmly and without flinching. If they had nothing to hide, why would they be trying to ingratiate themselves with the victim? She just wanted Sophia to accept her bribe, but she forgot that Sophia isn't like those spoiled A's. She's not interested in designer goods, only in prestigious universities. A designer bag, so what? It's as flashy and empty as you. And Ethan isn't a cash cow, and he's not someone you can belittle like that. I was a bit surprised watching Sophia talk back. She said it all pretty smoothly, and when she defended me, she didn't even stutter. The gym has no cameras. If it did, that would be something. I really want to know who locked Sophia in there. What a cruel heart. It's still a living human life. If they find out, you'll be held accountable, right? Indeed, if I hadn't discovered the fire and called the police in time, Sophia would have certainly died on the spot. But Khlo's famed concern to my eyes was nothing more than the antics of a clown. I rapped the table. Who said there was no surveillance? No sooner had the words fallen than Khlo opened her mouth wide and backed away in fright. Even Dylan, who usually stayed well out of it, nicked the draft paper with his pen as he wrote. The two of them reacted so spectacularly that it was thoroughly satisfying, I said leisurely. Of course, there are hidden cameras in the corners of the school. The fact that students don't find them doesn't mean the administration didn't install them. At those words, Chloe collapsed onto the floor, visibly trembling. Now, the two of them would have to live day and night in panic and anxiety. In the blink of an eye, a month had passed, and the first mock exam concluded smoothly. For the first time, I realized how wonderful it feels to study hard, especially when you're working toward the right goal with the right person. 3 days later, at the school's awards assembly, there were 4 people standing on the stage. Sophia and I were there to receive the school's Outstanding Student Awards, while Chloe and Dylan were to publicly reflect and repent before the more than 1,000 teachers and students. The boast I once made, getting into the top 20, I achieved, and Sophia became the grade's top student with the highest score across all subjects, beating second-place Dylan by more than 50 points. As I took the certificate, I felt a deep sense of remorse for my past laziness and lack of study. In the audience, Sophia smiled and whispered to me, "How's the New Year's Eve gift I gave you? How is it?" I laughed loudly. I love this New Year's Eve gift more than anything. By contrast, K.H. Lowe and Dylan on stage looked like they wanted to sink into the floor, especially Dylan. This will probably be the biggest stain on his life. For someone as self-righteous as he is, to be publicly admonished and have it put on his record. Actually, to outsiders, it looked like there were no cameras around the gym. But I knew the school had hidden internal surveillance. Originally, the school intended to downplay the incident, but I posted the fire anonymously online, which drew a lot of attention from netizens. Countless people were waiting for a satisfactory explanation. This time, Sophia was detained. Then the equipment room caught fire. If I hadn't arrived in time to rescue someone, the school would have been blamed for a death. After weighing the stakes, the school administrators agreed to pull the footage to see what happened. And sure enough, it pointed straight at K.H. Lowe and Dylan. That day, there were originally 3 people who went into the equipment room to organize gear. But half an hour later, only Chloe and Dylan walked out, and they locked the door without explanation. The person who didn't come out was Sophia. Seeing this, the truth is obvious. There were only 3 people, so they couldn't have forgotten Sophia's presence. The 2 of them deliberately locked her inside. As for why the equipment room later caught fire, the cause is unknown. Their so-called negligence almost ruined a person's entire life. Because of the severity of the impact, Chloe and the other person were publicly reprimanded by the whole school and were required to make a contrite confession in front of everyone. Watching the 2 of them on stage weeping and wailing, I could only marvel at how consummate their acting was. But they only wrote a few thousand words of self-criticism and lost a little face. The suffering they endured wasn't even 1/10 of what I went through in my past life. At that time, K.H. Lowe was helping Dylan build a business from scratch. Because of funding issues, there was a social event that required K.H. Lowe to be present. There was an investor boss who was hard to deal with, and even in front of Dylan he kept groping K.H. Lowe. I went over as soon as Chloe called me. When I arrived, almost everyone there was drunkenly unconscious. That old man had Chloe restrained. Her clothes had already been ripped to shreds. Those scenes pierced me to the core, so my eyes went bloodshot, and I rushed over and beat him senseless. I originally thought calling the police would settle it. But Dylan smashed a beer bottle over him, blood everywhere, and the old man died on the spot. I didn't even have time to run. I got hit on the head with a bottle too and then passed out. When I woke up, I found that I had become the murderer who killed the nouveau riche old man with fingerprints, and the murder props all laid out clearly. And just like that, I was thrown in prison and became a killer. Chloe and Dylan both stuck to the same story that they went to persuade me to mend my ways. But unexpectedly, I accidentally killed someone, so those 2 ungrateful bastards worked together to make me out to be a murderer. They wiped their hands clean and personally called the police to have me arrested. My parents ran around trying to sort out my situation. Johnson Corporation teetered and was eventually taken over by someone else, and in their anger my parents passed away. When I heard the news in prison, I felt hopeless about life and ran my head against the cell wall, killing myself. They ruined my family and caused our deaths. A mere written review. How could that ever erase the hatred of my heart? The real show is yet to come. After this incident, K.H. Lowe no longer openly courted death, and I surged ahead, my grades firmly in the top 5, becoming someone who could stand shoulder to shoulder with Sophia. Just as we were steadily rising, another girl transferred into our class. Scarlett Morgan transferred to our class from Canada. Her family was immensely wealthy, and her parents had always indulged her and doted on her since childhood. On the very first day she transferred, she humiliated K.H. Lowe. Because Scarlett had taken a liking to Dylan, she sought him out and fussed over him both during and after class, which completely enraged K.H. Lowe. "Scarlett, I don't care what your status is. You must stay away from Dylan." Seeing the two about to fight, Dylan immediately stood up to defuse the situation. "Chloe, Scarlett was just asking me a few questions. Don't make such a fuss, okay?" These words only set Chloe off even more. "Dylan, what do you mean? She's only been here one day and you're speaking up for her. What do you take me for?" Chloe, furious, threw all the books on the table onto Dylan. Seeing Dylan's face grow darker and darker, she kept jabbering on, cursing and swearing. "I've had enough of you. If you want to go crazy, go do it at your own home. Don't make a spectacle of yourself here." Dylan shoved K.H. Lowe away and walked off without looking back. Everyone watched the drama, and someone even took out their phone to record. Scarlett tilted K.H. Lowe's chin, speaking arrogantly and domineeringly. "Use that time to study more. Don't act like a shrew yelling in the street all the time. It embarrasses Dylan. I'm embarrassed for him when I see it." K.H. Lowe was treated like trash and discarded by Dylan. This time she was utterly defeated. In the days that followed, Dylan was always seen paired up with Scarlett, and Chloe truly felt what belonged to her had been taken away. So desperate, she grasped at straws and came to me for help. "Ethan, for the sake of our childhood friendship, could you help me out? I'm begging you." I looked speechless at her ordinary belle-looking self. Does she want me to help her win Dylan back? Dylan definitely still has feelings for me. He's just temporarily blinded by Scarlett. As long as you agree to be with me, he'll feel threatened and will come back to me right away. K.H. Lowe's speech made me burst out laughing, so I'm still just a tool to her. K.H. Lowe's little scheme was really clever. If you want me to help you, then show some sincerity. I don't know if that bastard Dylan will change his mind, but making K.H. Lowe endure the hardships I once suffered and watching her get humiliated puts me in a good mood. So, the wheel of fortune turned, and now Chloe became my little follower. Every day she brought me breakfast, and it had to be different each time. I said, if she wanted the glutinous rice sold at the farthest Wilton snack street, she'd have to buy it herself. The driver wasn't allowed to do it for her. When she came back dripping with sweat, I gave everything she'd bought to the stray dog by the roadside. "Ethan, are you seriously enjoying messing with me?" I clapped my hands twice, laughing heartily. "You can't take this. I was your lap dog for over 10 years, you know." She was furious, but seeing Dylan and Scarlett laughing face to face over there, Scarlett even making a mocking face at her, K.H. Lowe held herself back again. All she wanted was for Dylan to change his mind. She would do anything for that. The summer thunderstorms came suddenly without warning, and K.H. Lowe was still standing under the dormitory building holding the information I had asked for. I said I wanted the physics tutoring book from the Belmont Library and Lowe's Angels. She had to find it before dark and hand it to me, but I didn't intend to go down and get it myself. A gale hit and the rain came down in sheets. Chloe was instantly soaked through. My roommates clicked their tongues from time to time, saying I was finally standing my ground this time. "Ethan, you really don't cherish beauties at all. If this rain keeps up, Chloe will definitely catch a cold. Man, don't be so ruthless. After all, you used to shamelessly chase her." "Yeah, I feel kind of sorry for the school belle too. Just forgive her." I looked through the window at the young lady below, soaked to the skin, and a satisfying sense of revenge welled up inside me. In my past life, that's exactly how I stood foolishly in the rain, waiting for her to give orders. And in the end, I ended up in the hospital. Fortune's turn. The pain once endured should be made to be tasted by her in exactly the same way. Otherwise, I would be unworthy of the second life I was given. After the rain stopped, Kh. finally went back. She didn't come to school for 3 days straight. Logically, she couldn't be absent at a time like this. She should have been watching Dylan and Scarlett every moment, afraid those two would sneak around behind her back. I only found out after I got home when my parents told me that Chloe had apparently slit her wrist, trying to kill herself. Mr. Bennett said, fortunately it was discovered in time. The blood filled an entire bathtub. It scared the couple so much they almost fainted. She's now in the hospital getting IVs. They say she's out of the danger period. I tapped the table, unable to understand what kind of stunt Kh. was trying to pull. That night, Kh.'s mother came to my house and without a word tried to kneel to me. Luckily, my mom stopped her. In short, the gist is that Kh. in the hospital is acting like she's dying and insists on seeing me. She came begging me, hoping I could go to the hospital to see her daughter and persuade her not to do anything stupid. She doesn't know that if I went to see Chloe, it would probably make her so furious that her condition would worsen. Still, I really do want to see Chloe in a sorry state. After all, she's always been so glamorous. A fallen phoenix is no match for a chicken, and I find it delightful. And look at her mother. Outwardly polite to my mother, but behind her back, who knows what she says about her? The Bennett family are wolves in sheep's clothing, outwardly harmless but actually ruthless. Otherwise, they wouldn't have rushed to take over my family's company after the incident with my family, accelerating the deaths of my parents. So I certainly won't let these two old ones off either. At the hospital, Kh. lay weakly on the bed. Dylan, you came to see me, didn't you? She sprang up like a startled carp, but when she saw it was me, she was immediately, utterly disappointed. If I remember correctly, Dylan is with Scarlett right now, shopping for college entrance exam supplies. Tusk, tusk, tusk. A lone man and woman together, just thinking about it is thrilling. Shut up, Ethan. I didn't call you here to have you mock me. She was panting angrily. I was afraid she'd die in front of me the next second and then I'd become a murderer. Definitely not worth it. I sat down beside her and waited quietly for Kh.'s next performance. Ethan, after all these years, don't you really want to have me? Hearing that, my interest was piqued. Oh, what makes you say that? She rolled her eyes, then pulled out the 4 from her arm, threw back the covers, and walked toward me. After she stopped in front of me, she slowly unbuttoned the front of her hospital gown, revealing a large expanse of smooth, pale skin. She didn't stop there. She kept unbuttoning downward. I watched her movements indifferently the whole time. What do you mean by this? The next second, she ignored everything and threw herself into my arms, rubbing her body against my chest. The presence of soft flesh was impossible to ignore. I'll shout for help loudly in a moment. Then everyone will know you assaulted me in my ward and my clothes are disheveled anyway. All of that can ruin your reputation. Not only that, Dylan will definitely change his mind. He wouldn't be able to give me up. Ethan, you have no defense. After all, who doesn't know you've been pestering me for so many years? It would be only natural for you to have done something excessive to me. As soon as she finished speaking, my loud laughter rang throughout the entire room. Chloe. Oh, Chloe, you still managed to astonish me like this. What a pity. Your perfect victim plan is about to be ruined. Sophia, did you record all of that? Immediately, Sophia stepped out from the corner and she was holding a camera. Everything that had just happened had already been recorded by her. Get out of here. Chloe screamed like a mad woman, clutching her clothes and scrambling onto the bed. I always knew this woman wouldn't have any good intentions, asking me to visit her alone in the ward. Anyone could tell what she was up to. Sophia, it's all because of you. You ruined all my plans. What grudge do I have against you for you to treat me like this? With this video in hand, Chloe could never frame me anymore. She was the one who willingly took off her clothes and pressed against me. I didn't move an inch the whole time. Chloe, actually, what you're doing is wrong. Wrong. A girl should respect and love herself, not maliciously ruin someone else's reputation with her own purity. I don't want you teaching me how to live. Get out. Chloe hysterically smashed everything in the war to pieces. Seeing the debris about to hit Sophia, I pulled Sophia behind me and shielded her. Chloe, I don't even bother talking sense to you. The video is in my hands. If you dare have your family cause trouble for Sophia, I'll make sure this video explodes across the internet. I'm not afraid of being exposed. Consider it fame. Think carefully. Sophia only wanted you to realize your mistake and repent, but it seems you're beyond saving now. From now on, fend for yourself. I pulled Sophia and walked away without looking back, and behind us came K.H. Lowe's heart-wrenching screams from a room. For someone like her, only by making her suffer thoroughly would she understand what a mistake is. Sophia suddenly let go of my hand and quietly stepped away from me a short distance. I could feel that she seemed a little afraid of me. Actually, you're pretty ruthless, cold-hearted even. After all, you liked Chloe for so many years, and now you can treat her so callously. Sophia twisted her hands together, her expression very awkward. Yes, I am ruthless, but if I weren't, I'd just be used by others and then thrown away like garbage. I can understand that Sophia is afraid I'm a very bad person. With both hands on her shoulders, I spoke gently. If others are good to me, I'll be twice as good to them. But if others don't treat me like a person, there's no reason for me to show them mercy. Don't worry, I won't hurt you. Sophia, you don't know what I've been through. Those are bloody lessons. They were lessons Ethan Johnson bought with 3 lives. Sophia thought for a moment, then gave me a big smile. I believe you. You're different now. You're getting better and better. Sophia's tone was firm. It was the first time anyone had believed in me so confidently. The feeling was even more wonderful than being reborn. She gave me a quick hug, and before I could react, she had already run off. Hurry back and do your worksheets, or the homeroom teacher will be calling you into the office for tea again tomorrow. I watched her receding figure and felt that happiness was actually within reach. Only after a person has dignity can they meet someone better. Luckily, I understand that now. In the days that followed, K.H. Lowe still competed with Scarlett out of jealousy. Over one Dylan, the class was thrown into chaos, and it provided everyone with a lot of amusement, most of which ended with K.H. Lowe failing and feeling humiliated. As things stand, Dylan seems more inclined to cling to Scarlett after all her family's resources are several levels above K.H. Lowe's. The college entrance exam arrived as scheduled. After fighting in a library until the last night, I finally felt a huge sense of relief. Sophia kept nagging before leaving. There's the exam tomorrow. Remember not to oversleep. Make sure you bring your admission ticket. Eat breakfast before you go to the exam hall so you won't run out of energy halfway through and affect your performance. And I pulled my hand back and ruffled her hair, my voice full of excitement. I know, like a housekeeper. You've said all this a dozen times. She pretended to glare at me in mock annoyance, but the happiness in her eyes gave her away. Sophia, after the college entrance exams, can you grant me one request? She froze, not answering for a long while. I couldn't help but grow nervous. Even when I use a trail after Chloe like a bootlicker, I never felt this jittery anxiety that comes with declaring your feelings. Suddenly, she ran off with her backpack, leaving me standing there disheveled. I'll say yes once you get into a good university. I watch her disappear around the corner, grinning from ear to ear. Sure enough, it poured on both days of the university entrance exams, as if washing away everything from the past and bringing a brand new beginning. The school organized a graduation dance for teachers and students. After dinner, the teachers each went home, and several dozen of us from one class went to a party room to sing. The private room was noisy and lively. The couples acted as if no one else existed. Those confessing their love confessed. Those egging them on kept egging them on. I pulled Sophia into a corner and swapped the drink in front of her for orange juice. Soon, something new happened over by Chloe. Chloe, wearing a princess dress, was questioning Dylan. Dylan, you promised you'd officially confess to me after graduation and let everyone know that I, Chloe, am your girlfriend. So now it's time for you to keep that promise, right? Dylan's expression was stern, but he looked up towards Scarlett. Scarlett sat with her legs crossed on a leather sofa, a drink swirling in her hand, and said casually, Dylan, is what she says true? I think it's about time you decided who to choose. The classmates in the private room were whispering, waiting to watch this apocalyptic showdown. I wasn't that interested in how things would unfold. I was just watching Sophia enjoy the longeon here and casually peel the plate for her. The next moment, Dylan shrugged off K.H. Lowe's hand from the crowd and even backed away from her with a look of disgust. Dylan crouched down, looked up at the lofty Scarlet, and said sincerely, "The one I've always liked is Scarlet. Chloe, stop deluding yourself and clinging to me. There's no way I'll let you be my girlfriend." When he said that, the place exploded with reaction. "I told you, how could Chloe possibly contend with Scarlet? Don't be fooled by Khlo always acting high and mighty because of her power at school. She's really just someone who bullies the weak and fears the strong. When it comes to Scarlet, she can only hide like a turtle. Dylan is really shallow too. At first he orbited around Chloe, but the moment Scarlet showed up, he immediately turned and followed her. He may be good at his studies, but his character is no good." At this moment, Khlo was already so angry her eyes filled with tears, while Scarlet merely sneered several times and even tossed the fruit plate Dylan had handed her to one side. Scarlet stood up and said disdainfully, "A man like Dylan, since you want him, fine, I'll give him to you. Chloe, I just didn't like you from the start, but Dylan followed me the moment I beckoned. Someone so easy to snatch away. Only you would treat him like a treasure." Hearing that, Dylan sprang to his feet, his eyes raining with fury. He was treated like garbage, unworthy of Scarlet's notice. Scarlet's move not only put arrogant Khlo in her place, it also ground Dylan's supposed nobility and dignity into the dirt, which was deeply satisfying to everyone. After speaking, Scarlet swaggered out. "I knew from the beginning that someone smart like Scarlet could never take a liking to a pretty boy like Dylan. At most, she was teasing him. Only Dylan and Khlo took it seriously. No wonder they were a perfect match." Dylan trembled all over. The air around him turned colder by several degrees. Everyone in the private room looked at one another and forced some laughter to ease the awkwardness. Khlo immediately hooked her arm around Dylan's. "That woman had no taste. You still have me. From now on, we'll go to college together, start a business, and show everyone what a perfect match looks like." Chloe tilted her chin toward me, as if to say she had won in the end, that she had won Dylan back, but only I saw the flash of disgust cross Dylan's eyes. "Fine." I stood up slowly and for show clapped a few times. "Congratulations, college star Dylan, for now, and you'll be the Bennett family's future son-in-law. Maybe you'll make it big right after graduation. When that happens, remember us old classmates and give us a hand." The other students chimed in, and Dylan's face went from pale to flushed. Quite a show. For the next while, Khlo made Dylan sing one love song after another, practically dominating the scene. Suddenly, she strutted up to us. "Hottie, Sophia, don't think you can get into Ethan's family just like that. As far as I know, Mr. Johnson and the others would never take a dull, poor student like you as a daughter-in-law. Your rich family dream is about to be shattered." Sophia quietly put down the longan in her hand and lowered her head. Seeing Khlo's attitude, I really wanted to slap her twice. Just make things unpleasant for the person I care about. At the same time, the private room's door was opened, and a group of people surged in carrying bouquets. Within minutes, they had placed expensive roses all around the room. "Mr. Ethan Johnson, please sign for your flowers." I signed, and amid everyone's curiosity and shock, I carried a large bouquet of blue enchantresses towards Sophia in the corner. She was still in a daze, staring at the room full of flowers at a loss. "Sophia, thank you for making me a better person, for urging me to study, tutoring me, and teaching me to love someone with dignity. I once said after the college entrance exam, please promise me one thing. I'm asking you now, will you agree to be my girlfriend?" Sophia's mouth widened in disbelief. The classmates around immediately cheered for him, and the atmosphere suddenly became very lively. A minute later, Sophia reached out and took the blue enchanted rose from my hand. Her cheeks were flushed pink, very cute, and she softly and sweetly said the words, "I do." Just at that moment, my mom's call came in. I answered in time and held the phone to Sophia's ear. "Sophia, it's your Mrs. Johnson. I knew Mr. Johnson really liked you. If it weren't for you, that rascal in our family might have turned into who knows what. But fortunately, he has good taste. He shows us your photo every day. One day when you come by, let Annie see you in person. Oh, and that bracelet was given to me by his grandmother back then. Consider it your meeting gift. You must accept it. Yeah, your Annie and I are waiting for you to come over and liven the place up. If that Ethan good-for-nothing mistreats you, tell Mr. Johnson and me. We'll teach him a lesson for you." The voices from the receiver passed through the microphone and spread across the whole private room. Everyone heard them loud and clear. I carefully slipped the emerald green bangle on as Sophia's wrist, and the heavy stone in my heart finally settled. Now you're the daughter-in-law the Johnson family has. Accepted, so you can't abandon me. She shyly hid in my arms, and I still heard those words. I do in my ears. The next second, thunderous applause rang out in the private room. My goodness, she even gave the heirloom bracelet. Ethan is really serious about Sophia. This is so romantic, so many flowers, at least a few thousand, right? If I ran into something like this, how wonderful would that be? Look at Chloe and Dylan just now. My God, the difference is clear as day. Love and not loving couldn't be more obvious. The onlookers' gossip provoked K.H. Lowe beside them, and even the way she grabbed Dylan became noticeably rougher. She linked arms with Dylan as she walked over, looking at me and Sophia with ill intent. I didn't expect you little stutterer to have tricks up your sleeve, but I'll make you know that a country bumpkin can never become a phoenix, and only someone like you would want the man I threw away. After finishing, K.H. Lowe glanced at me, then turned away with an arrogant look, ready to leave, while Sophia beside me unhesitatingly picked up the microphone. Ethan has never been the kind of trash you should throw away. He simply liked you. And you, relying on his affection, trampled his dignity again and again. Someone like you, you're not worthy of true love. Sooner or later, you'll regret it. The fact that you don't cherish someone doesn't mean others won't. Sophia finished in one breath, and the private room fell silent at once. Waves of heat surged through me, and a dense ache hovered in my chest. The most meaningful thing about being reborn for me was not that I no longer followed K.H. Lowe around like a S, but that I had met the girl worth protecting for a lifetime, the best gift heaven could give me. Chloe was so angry she gasped for breath, pulling Dylan and disappearing into the party house. Sophia and I exchanged knowing smiles and accepted wave after wave of congratulation from those around us. After the college entrance exam results were announced, Sophia and I headed north together and got into the best university. She studied law. I studied finance. As for Chloe and Dylan, they became an item and left together. I heard they even caused the Bennett household to be in turmoil, but that still couldn't persuade K.H. Lowe, who was lovesick, to turn back. The Bennett parents complained to my parents about me anytime and anywhere, whining that ungrateful betrayer had secretly taken money to support Dylan. My parents heard it so often they got annoyed and stopped bothering with that family. 4 years passed in a blink. After graduating my senior year, I joined a family business, Johnson Corporation, managing operations. Sophia is still focused on academics and pursued the career she loved. I have always been her strongest support, even though she's become very independent and strong and doesn't need any help from me. When Chloe came looking for me, I wasn't surprised at all. I had even expected her to show up. I had been waiting for this day for a long time. The person standing in front of me no longer had the youthful radiance of our school days. After all, having spent these years following Dylan through wind and rain, she couldn't still be the pampered young lady who never lifted a finger. Ethan, for the sake of our childhood friendship, could you help Dylan and me? His project is really great. It's just that right now it needs a large amount of US dollars. Didn't you used to have feelings for me? I believe you're not the kind of person who refuses to lend a hand just because. You can't have me. Dylan has been tearing his hair out over the funding lately. He's lost a lot of weight, and it pains me to see it. Look at this bit of dialogue. It moved me. No wonder they're such a devoted couple. I just watch her act it out there, and it was as entertaining as watching a juggling act, which put me in a good mood. Chloe, if you're willing to hand over some files in exchange, it's not impossible for me to lend you dollars. And I promise after this you can definitely help Dylan rise to prominence. She didn't speak. I knew she was thinking. All I needed to do was wait for the prey to take the bait. I had long understood that Dylan's project had reached a make-or-break point. If the funding chain slipped even a little, he would be ruined, never to rise again. That's why he and K.H. Lowe were borrowing money everywhere, fighting for one last chance. 3 days later, as expected, Chloe placed a folder on my desk which pleased me. As soon as I mentioned Dylan, she would do anything in a sense. I couldn't tell whether Chloe was hopelessly devoted or just incredibly stupid. Anyone with eyes could see that Dylan was only after her family's money. Yet, she insisted on choosing to live and die with this man. In my previous life, the person who took advantage of my family's misfortune to buy out my company was Mr. Bennett, whom I had respected since childhood. If he hadn't kicked us when we were down and bought up the family's assets, my parents wouldn't have been unable to hold on and ended up in heaven. When it comes to interests, what generations-long loyalties amount to is nothing. I finally saw some people's true faces. This time I will make them taste what it's like to lose everything. After all, they raised a wonderful daughter, a vicious woman who sent me to prison. So foolishly good that she even dared to give the family's confidential documents to an outsider just to raise money for the person she loves to pursue his dream. All these years, she never saw Dylan's true nature, a man who put on a polite front but is actually fiercely ambitious. Poverty forced him to bow to K.H. but poverty was only one of his flaws. With my help, Dylan's project kicked off with great momentum, and the flame of hope rose slowly. Unfortunately, the Bennett family's business continued to be suppressed and was on the verge of bankruptcy. Overnight, Mr. Bennett and Mrs. Bennett both ended up in the hospital. When K.H. came to confront me, I professed my innocence. Right now, we need to come up with enough US dollars to get the Bennett family through this crisis. Ethan, I'm begging you. My parents raised you since you were young, too. Please help us. I raised both hands, helpless. I'm not running a charity. Your family has such a huge hole. Do you think I have the time or inclination to fill it? She collapsed to the floor. Are you taking revenge on me? I laughed out loud. You're only just realizing, but those confidential files were all given to me by you. So, you were the one who personally handed the Bennett family to me. I should be thanking you now. Go beg your man to come up with the money for you. K.H. felt as if all hope had died. The hospital phone kept ringing and she ran out in daze. At the same time, Dylan couldn't come up with US dollars to help her either because all the funds had been invested in the project. Faced with his own future and the survival of the Bennett family, how could Dylan possibly choose to save the Bennett? And I was even less likely to help her. This whole trap had been set up specifically for them. Even if she kneels to me, I would only see it as entertainment. This is the price she has to pay. 2 days later, Dylan and K.H.'s affair became the talk of the town and even made the news. Chloe threatened to kill herself, but all it got her was Dylan breaking up with her. In the end, she was left with nothing. A week later, Mr. Bennett and Mrs. Bennett both passed away, and the Bennett family completely collapsed. Dylan's project was also halted amid allegations of illegal activity, a grand gift I had prepared for him. In the end, I single-handedly sent the two of them to the station. They finally got a taste what prison feels like. I still remember the way Dylan looked at me that day, as if once this project succeeded, he could immediately turn things around and trample me underfoot. The same haughty, contemptuous look he used to give me back in school. Too bad I won't give him that chance. The reason I agreed to let K.H. fund him was merely to give them a bit of hope, then destroy it all completely. The tactic of flattering someone to ruin them is old, but it never fails. Now the two of them can rely on each other in the station. I even played the good guy and didn't let them be separated. The company is back. My parents are alive and I have an excellent lawyer fiancé. It wasn't for nothing that I worked so hard this time. From now on, I'll be my wife's one and only simp.